Hello, everyone. My name is Christakos, and I'm currently a senior at Duke in Biology 202. For my Lab 10 presentation on genetics and evolution in the news, I am going to be reviewing an article on potential coronavirus mutations. And so this is very relevant to the course, as we know the genetics and evolution deals firsthand with mutations as a driving factor. And coronavirus has obviously impacted all of our lives, so it's very relevant for our current situation. The article I'm reviewing is headlined, "Is the coronavirus mutating?" Yes, but here's why you don't need to panic. It was published on Science News on May 26, 2020. So roughly 5 months ago, but it is still very relevant. It is written by Aaron Garcia de Jesus. In this presentation, I'm going to cover some coronavirus background and then give a summary of the article's main points. And then I'll conclude with my analysis of the article's findings. So we know that coronavirus first came into our lives in China in the very end of 2019. Initially, the entire world and obviously the United States did not know how to respond to it and really downplayed the threats that it posed to our civilization. So this obviously led to the virus spreading throughout our world and has led to now over 40 million total global cases with over 1.1 million deaths. And the US was first introduced to it around mid-March. And then since we were so late to it, our cases have now surpassed all other countries and regions, with the United States on its own having 8.3 million cases and roughly 225,000 deaths. So this has resulted in big biotech companies and other scientists racing to find a vaccine to help cure the coronavirus and limit the spread of it. So why mutations scare people is that they're fearful if the mutation does have a big impact, will that then lead to the vaccine being ineffective and putting us back to square one? So the first main point of this article was that they think the general public understands the word mutation, and that leads them to freak out. Since they don't fully understand it, they emphasize that mutation is really just a change, and that viruses are always changing. So this is very typical behavior for any virus, and it's not unique to the coronavirus. So most of the time, they emphasize that these mutations actually don't do anything to the virus at all with regard to impacts to the host. And they mentioned to say that viruses are just protein shells that contain DNA or RNA. And for coronavirus, it is with the RNA. So the mutation would just be a change to roughly one of the 30,000 nucleotides that are contained by this virus. And so one thing they talked about in this article was that researchers can actually use these changes to track the virus's path across the globe. And so that's actually a silver lining positive of the potential threat of mutations. We see this graph right here that has tracked the genetic changes to map its spread from December of 2019 to May of 2020, with the length of the bars showing how many changes have occurred. So in conclusion, this article ended by really emphasizing that most mutations are not dangerous, according to expert virologists. They say that no studies or research have been done to conclude that these mutations are very dangerous, and that research takes time. So we need a lot of research to assess these mutations. And so they told us that we need to not panic due to the threat of mutations, and everyone should just take a deep breath and wait to see what the data tells us. So my analysis of this, I do agree that the general public is not aware of virus behavior and the nature of mutations. And so I think it is great that the main point is just telling people not to panic. However, I am concerned that people might lose this main point and that they might interpret this article to say that you can not worry about coronavirus and loosen up. That is not the case, and we need to make sure you're all still practicing social distancing and taking these safety measures to do your part in helping the world get back to normalcy. So lastly, here are all of my sources with the article at the top and the current data below it. Below that are the image sources that I have throughout the presentation. Thank you for listening.